1940 में इसी था मोटर सा 1940 में इसी था सूजी का नीडल भी कहते हैं
ये एक्चुअली बच्चों का सिर का इसमें सॉल्यूशन था ना
पता नहीं होगा ब्लड प्रेशर
वो भी वो वाला बात है don't yell on the video as if I am torturing
डॉक्टर का रेपुटेशन खराब कर रहा है
वो तो ऐसा ही है
छोड़ दो
हाँ
This super sub beats me.
क्यों
Subhasa wanted a proper commentary here. Saying that full of guts and enthusiasm, DS Subba volunteered on one fine part of a research project of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, which was entrusted to me because they don't have a wintering doctor here, and their physiology department is carrying out various research projects involving physiological responses to life in the extreme cold climate of Antarctica. Now we are passing through the dark period now, when what are called polar nights, and the sun has been absent for the last 5 weeks almost. The object of this particular experiment is to study hormonal changes, if any, particularly of melatonin and other hormones. These hormonal changes, the purpose of this experiment is to study whether there are any changes in the hormonal environment imposed by the polar nights. Some of the individuals are thereafter going to be exposed to bright light of about 8000 lux for about 3 hours every day, and we intend to study whether there are any alterations in the hormonal levels as a result of exposure to such light. We are taking adequate control, so this experiment is going to be quite meaningful. If let us say we do find that bright light has a favorable influence on the hormonal environment, in future we may be able to recommend that individuals living in Antarctica during the polar nights should be exposed to bright light for a given period of time every day. But all that is just conjectural. At present, what we are basically studying is just hormonal levels and changes imposed first by polar nights and then by exposure to bright light during the polar nights. Cotton? Perhaps you can make out. You can make out that the blood is quite fluid, it is not clotting. These are heparinized centrifuge tubes. Now once we have collected the samples for a particular time, let us say the 12 o'clock time, we will put them all in the centrifuge and centrifuge it at about 3000 revolutions per minute for an hour. That will separate the blood. We will collect the plasma separately, and the plasma we will pick out of those tubes with the help of these droppers like these, and we will put them into small siliconized vials like these, which are called RIA tubes. Plasma has been collected. There is no red element. This plasma is the supernatant fluid present after centrifugation of the blood sample. You can see it has been labeled. The person's name, his DOD number, the group to which this experiment belongs, the date and the time, they are labeled over here. Now these vials are we are permitted to keep these vials outside the refrigerator for about 4 hours maximum. For periods longer than that, what we do is we take these vials and put them in a deep freezer so that the temperature is maintained at -20 degrees centigrade. Throughout this wintering and through our journey back home, we are going to maintain these vials at -20. A representative will come from AIIMS to collect these samples from me at Goa, and these vials will be carried in specially designed boxes at -20 to AIIMS, where the hormonal studies will be done. We can't do hormonal studies over here. We have a digital analyzer, but it is for things like blood urea, blood creatinine, things like that. We don't have facilities for doing hormone levels in Antarctica, neither are they required probably for running a routine hospital over here. Now, just rotate it to 4, leave it there for some time and we'll raise it to 5 later on. And I think it is very important for people to note that we are very, very AIDS time. Once we are used, we throw it. Our medical personnel, we take adequate care to prevent contacting the disease ourselves or to prevent us from spreading the disease to other places. We keep sodium bicarbonate handy, and we have 1% solutions in which initially all our equipment which is not to be reused is washed. This is to make sure that AIDS virus is not propagated. What I want to say is that AIDS consciousness has come in a big way in India now. Sri, this is the deep freezer in which we keep our plasma samples at minus 20 degrees centigrade. As you can see, the earlier samples which you had seen me collect, they are now frozen solid. Temperature inside, I will show you, is maintained at minus 20. Now let me see, this is Lt.Col Mishra, Lt.Col Ghosh. As you can see, today's experiment involves 6 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is one at 2000 hours or 8 p.m. and one at midnight. So we'll store them sequentially so that it is easy to identify later on.
Should I cover it?
If you zoom into this, you'll find that the temperature is really over here, minus 20. It might be a little difficult. The pink of the alcohol is visible. And these samples are going to stay at minus 20 for the rest of our wintering. You have earlier samples in this box and today's samples are in this box.